Now, continuing on with Ashari, I will get to why this was relevant. I didn't get to it in the past video, but I will get to this. So after he's faced with the anger that he feels when Yanagi is insulted, the guilt he feels from showing Ashari, Ashari, an innocent girl, this side of him, that this like murderous rage filled side of him that even he doesn't understand. He leaves for a while. He leaves to go on one of his missions, and he executes it out flawlessly. But then he thinks to himself, what am I doing here? What is happening? What are these things that I'm thinking? And as he gets back, he has a conversation with Kaneko where she tells him, I understand. She tells him that you can't essentially keep going this way. Your body is not going to hold out. Your mind is also fracturing, and he doesn't understand why his mind is fracturing, because again he doesn't know about all these emotions. And Kaneko kind of has a heart to heart about him, because Yanagi was her niece essentially, and she says she never blamed Masato whatsoever, because Yanagi was always going to do what Yanagi wanted to do. She was that kind of happy but insanely smart character that was strong-willed and was never going to back down. So Kaneko says, I never blamed you for any of these things, and I understand that you don't even know that you're grieving, but you can't escape. It's something you have to kind of feel through rather than fight through. And then he has another heart-to-heart, another discussion with Ashari. And what Ashari does for him essentially is that Ashari, rather than running away from Masato, and when he leaves essentially, rather than being afraid of him, Ashari more wants to kind of understand things. Ashari's curious. While she's kind of always been timid, she's never not been curious. She's always loved kind of understanding why things are the way they are. That's like a big thing about her character, is that yes, she's timid, but she still always wanted to know why people never liked her. It was never a thing that kind of bogged her down, but it was something that like she never had the confidence to kind of fully pursue. And now that she's in this environment with Kaneko, with Masato, who saved her and everything, she wants to understand why is he this way, and Kaneko kind of tells her the entire story. And Ashari says, I don't really understand any of this or what's truly happening to him, but I want to be able to help. And Kaneko asks her why, and her response is, I kind of see what I've gone through in him, and if he's helped me to this point, I want to be able to repay him. And that's kind of like a big theme about her, is that she's attached to Masato in always feeling like she kind of owes him for her life essentially. Even though Masato is kind of always rejecting this notion that I didn't save you for any grandiose reason. My body kind of just moved and acted, and that's why she constantly feels like she owes him, because he could have killed her in that moment but never did, and he could have let Misako kill her in that moment but he didn't. Well, and I suppose if Misako kills Ashari in that moment, like, a lot of things happen that they do not get saved from. She saves them a lot. Anyway, moving on. Now, if we fast forward to their conversation, Master's kind of contemplating why does Ashari, like they have a conversation about her past and everything, and all the things that were done to her, and she says, and kind of like how they're both confused. They both don't really understand what's really happening with them. But she wants to get to know Master. She wants to understand what Yanagi was, and she wants to learn why Master reacted in that way. She doesn't blame him for anything, because she just sees him. She sees the pain that he's in, and can understand. She can understand at least that much, because she's perpetually in pain. And fast forward in all of this to where her character kind of grows further in volume 3, where she eventually falls in love. She eventually grows to this point where she's able to use her abilities. Oh yeah, I'll explain this. She's able to use her abilities. She's able to manipulate her Naka flow essentially, and she encounters Yukari, who's kind of this opposing character that wants to manipulate where she was scorned. Ashari wants to help. Ashari wants to create a better world, a better existing world where people's wills are allowed to kind of like go forth and everyone's able to kind of accept one another. Whereas Yukari wants to completely axe out all these feelings and just create a safe world for herself. The difference between their characters, because they go through similar things, where Yukari was experimented on through the virus that Kurogane spread out, and Ashari was what's called discriminated her entire for most of her younger years, and then bought out, and then experimented on until Masato rescued her, right? But they both have different approaches. Whereas one kind of like because she had bonds and she had ties, she was always angry. She was angry that these things were stripped away from her. But it's the person who had none of these that wants to gather these and bring everyone else together, rather than separating and creating a safe, closed off space for her. She wants to reach out to people, whereas Yukari wanted to kind of seclude herself away from everyone else. So I kind of love their opposing dynamics, and that's why I wanted Yukari to be killed by the hands of Ashari essentially, and not Misako. Because initially I was kind of thinking, do I have Misako beat her? Do I have Astra kind of land the final blow? And I did, because Yukari and Astra do have a past, and I think I'll get to that in a separate video. But I wanted it to be Ashari that was the final, that landed the kind of final killing blow. How it happens, Astra cuts off her head, but she still doesn't die, and then Yukari uses her lightning essentially. I'm not gonna say what exactly she does, but it is very cool, and it's something that, like, oh my days, I took a little inspiration from Kagurabachi for it, and well, I can't remember what else that inspired me, but yeah. Now let me get to this. So these are obviously Tai Chi kind of forms essentially, and these are the forms that Masato eventually uses to help her kind of control her lightning through, because her it kind of is just flowing through her as a current. It's more, rather than it being, because what they initially think is that her lightning is an attribute to her Naka, but what it actually is a kind of like a submutation of her. So she's been mutated for, kind of think of her like Storm essentially, or I suppose like Black Lightning. Kind of think of her as a fusion of Storm and Black Lightning, right? The difference being the lightning kind of is like a think about it like it's a part of her. It's almost like her. It's almost like her like a separate kind of sensory system in her, right? It's its own organ within her. Her body's been mutated to the point that she's able to conduct and release this lightning with the kind of like with the energy production of her cells and through her Naka flow essentially. So if her Naka flow is kind of balanced essentially, then she is able to balance her lightning, but she needs to kind of sync them together. They won't operate individually. However, it's not based on her Naka. So that's what they believe. They initially believe that her lightning is some kind of like submutation of her Naka, but it's not. It's a submutation of her actual body. And that's why she kind of has like three techniques. It looks like she has three techniques in volume 6, but that's not something I'm explaining today. Long story short, I just really love her character. I love that she kind of represents this reaching out, and I love what I mainly like that I did was kind of have her be this contrast to Yukari, and B, kind of show how how people value things differently. those who don't have or who have never experienced something would always value kind of like value what they get, what other people kind of like see as trivial in a much bigger light. And that's kind of like the main core of what her character is, you know. Someone who's never, and it kind of goes back to what Doflamingo says, children of war, they would only value kind of like actually having parents, you know, those kind of things.